Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. Florida becomes the target of the Biden administration amid the recent increase in COVID infections. Yet the White House's handling of the pandemic has been absurdly self-contradictory. Governor Ron Desantis blasted Biden yesterday for it. Andrew Cuomo, once the king of New York, has officially fallen from grace. Don't buy into big media's narrative. Most American athletes are proud and love this country. Will Arizona AG Mark Brnovich investigate Maricopa County for not complying with election audit subpoenas? Looks like his prospects in the U.S. Senate race depend on this. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. The migrant surge shows no signs of slowing down. In July, total encounters of illegal border crossers was over 205,000, a 9% increase from June. Since the beginning of the fiscal year 2021, the Border Patrol has caught about 1.3 million illegal immigrants. That's more than any other year in history. If what Biden said back in March was true, that the surge was a seasonal problem, which happens every winter from January to March, we should have seen a decline in July when the summer heat makes the journey to the U.S. much more dangerous. But the opposite is happening. Clearly, an over-friendly administration on immigration and the high chance of staying in the United States once you complete the trip are well worth it. Plus, we have a highly cooperative justice system that helps import more illegals. On Tuesday, a district judge blocked an executive order from Texas Governor Greg Abbott. This order would have barred NGOs from busing border crossers into the United States. You should know that illegal immigrants released by the Border Patrol get to travel by bus and on commercial flights all over the country. Many of them are not tested for COVID and do carry the disease. In one sector of Texas' southern border, the number of infected migrants skyrocketed 900% last month. The perplexing part is some Catholic charities and other NGOs pay for their transportation. Yet it was the Biden administration's Justice Department that set the precedent. Last Friday, the DOJ sued Texas after Attorney General Merrick Garland called the same order dangerous and unlawful. Garland wrote to Abbott, "I urge you to immediately rescind the order." But if you think about it carefully, it is disconcerting when you have an Attorney General thinking an action that prevents foreigners who illegally enter the country from spreading the disease to Americans as dangerous and unlawful, because the exact opposite is true. Florida has a more lenient approach to COVID restrictions, which is at odds with what the White House recommends. But that doesn't mean it's not based on science. In fact, Governor Ron Desantis studied extensively papers and research on the effectiveness of lockdowns and the coronavirus. He found no evidence that suggests countries or areas under lockdown were doing any better than places without a lockdown. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford University commented on Desantis' knowledge. He's more educated on coronavirus literature than most epidemiologists. The downside of lockdowns is obvious. Prolonged isolation from society harms people both physically and mentally. So Desantis lifted all restrictions on business statewide last September, the earliest in the country. Florida has been doing just fine, with a running economy and probably the happiest people in the country, with nearly 1,000 Americans relocating to the state every day. However, about 3 weeks ago, the arrival of the Delta variant changed things. COVID infections started to rise, and this gave the White House a long-awaited opportunity to criticize the Florida governor. Both Biden and Press Secretary Jen Psaki have singled out the state. Frankly speaking, the Biden administration has serious issues of its own handling of the pandemic. During a press conference yesterday, Desantis fired shots at Joe Biden.
Joe Biden has taken to himself to try to single out Florida over COVID. This is a guy who ran for president saying he was going to, quote, shut down the virus. And what has he done? He's imported more virus from around the world by having a wide open southern border. You have hundreds of thousands of people pouring across every month. And it's not just from Mexico. In fact, it's rarely from Mexico. You have over 100 different countries where people are pouring through. Not only are they letting them through, they're then farming them out all across our communities across this country, putting them on planes, putting them on buses. Do you think they're being worried about COVID for that? Of course not. So he's facilitating, who knows what new variants are out there, but I can tell you, whatever variants are around the world, they're coming across that southern border.
DeSantis said that what the Biden administration wants is to have Florida force kindergarteners to wear masks in school. The government doesn't want parents to get involved, but DeSantis asserted that in Florida, it's the parents who are in charge of whether their children mask or not. The governor also pointed out another big paradox of the administration. The government wants people to show proof of vaccination to enter restaurants or participate in social events, but when it comes to voting, the requirement of showing a picture ID is considered a burden? This makes no sense. DeSantis dropped his last comment at Biden over his self-contradictory COVID policies.
Why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
Former Obama official Juliette Kayyem recently said in The Atlantic that the federal government should put unvaccinated adults on a no-fly list to limit the spread of the virus. At the time of publication, the article had a bold title, "Unvaccinated people belong on the no-fly list." Later, the headline was changed to, "Unvaccinated people need to bear the burden." The former Homeland Security Assistant Secretary wrote that one type of security rules at the airport divides passengers into categories according to how much of a threat the government thinks they pose. Quote, "If you submit to heightened scrutiny in advance, TSA PreCheck lets you go through security without taking off your shoes. A non-fly list keeps certain people off the plane entirely." Kayyem went on to say the same principle applies to limiting the spread of the coronavirus. While flying, vaccinated people should no longer carry the burden for unvaccinated people. Does the Homeland Security expert know that the Biden administration helps unvaccinated and COVID-positive illegal migrants get on commercial flights to anywhere in the country? What's the threat level they pose to the United States? Americans shouldn't be carrying the burden for infected migrants who enter the country illegally in the first place. But what do airline companies think about the vaccine mandate? Delta CEO Ed Bastian has made it clear that the airline has no plans to require domestic travelers to vaccinate because of the simple fact that no COVID-19 vaccine has been fully approved. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's approval rating has hit rock bottom. His Democratic base is deserting him. Marist conducted a poll on August 3rd with more than 600 adults living in the state. Here's what the survey says. 59% of New Yorkers want Cuomo to resign. Among registered voters, 63% say Cuomo should step down, including more than half of registered Democrats. Regarding re-election, 80% of New Yorkers say they want someone else. Among Democrats, only 18% say they would vote for Cuomo again next year. The Court of Public Opinion believes the allegations against Cuomo warrant his removal from office even if he survives the scandal. With about a 30% margin, New Yorkers want lawmakers to impeach the governor if he refuses to step down. But most deadly, the Democrat Party has issued an official opinion to abandon the so-called King of New York. On Tuesday, the New York Attorney General's office released a 165-page sexual harassment report against the governor. Attorney General Letitia James announced at a news conference that the allegations are real and Cuomo violated federal and state law. The report triggered a new round of resignation calls from the Democratic officials, including Cuomo's longtime backer, Joe Biden. On the same day the report was released, Biden said, "I think he should resign. The state legislature may decide to impeach him." Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters, "I don't know that anyone could have watched this morning and not found the allegations to be abhorrent." Cuomo continues to deny the allegations. As we discussed earlier, the New York governor has a more horrific issue with scrutiny, the nursing home scandal. Cuomo placed the infected in nursing homes, which could have caused more than 10,000 unnecessary deaths. And according to his own staff, Cuomo's office covered them up. Yet this issue has far greater implications that could harm the entire party. At least 3 other Democrat governors issued similar orders. The wave of sexual allegations against Cuomo might just be smoke and mirrors. Democrat elites want to end the New York King without harming themselves. Nevertheless, Cuomo must go. And coming up, we have the U.S. winning Olympic gold in women's wrestling bringing the total number of medals to 91. And 17 child predators were arrested this week. But before we continue, I want to say thank you for everyone's continued support. With censorship being extremely inundating, it's more important than ever that every one of you takes the time to share this video so we can keep our friends and family informed with truthful information. You can also help the Eye Opener team with our mission to deliver truthful news by donating to the show or by purchasing a mug that matters. You can find the link in the description below, and your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. Salute. There are some shining moments at the Olympics. 28-year-old Tamara Mensah-Stock became the first U.S. black woman to win Olympic gold in wrestling. A reporter asked her, "How does it feel to represent your country like this?" Everyone loved her answer. She said, "It feels amazing. I love representing the U.S. I freaking love living here. I love it, and I'm so happy that I get to represent the USA." Mensah-Stock began wrestling in the 10th grade in Katy, Texas. She said all her practicing and the hell her coach put her through paid off. She gets better and better with every practice. She was surprised that it seems there's no cap or limit to what she can do. The gold medalist already has a plan for her cash award. She wants to give her mom $30,000 so that she can start her food truck dream business. Mensah-Stock said her mom can cook barbecue really well. Don't be misguided by big media and think American athletes are getting woke. The tendency is only those rare woke athletes are making headlines, while news about the vast majority of athletes who honor America and respect the flag and the anthem are less important. But that doesn't change the fact. Most American athletes love this country. We should cheer for them and for representing America. Undercover detectives in Central Florida arrested 17 child predators this week. A 6-day undercover operation dubbed Operation Child Protector went from July 27th to August 1st. Law enforcement officers went on social media and online dating sites as teenagers to spot potential child predators. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd hosted a press conference on Tuesday.
What you see on this board here, and I'm going to go over this individually, are deviants. Incredible deviants. They travel from as far away as Clewiston, Florida. One even came from Los Angeles. He was in the Orlando area, decided that he'd stop in and engage a 13 and 14-year-old child in sex. But much to their chagrin, instead of meeting with children, young children, they were met by law enforcement officers from the police departments as well as the sheriff's office who were online, undercover, posing as children.
Judd described the suspects as incredible deviants, dangerous, and nasty people. He went into the details of each of the 17 suspects' backgrounds. They have been charged with 49 felonies. There are some very alarming discoveries in the child predator operation. 3 of the suspects were employees at Disney World. This is not a small percentage out of the 17 people. It means the child predators would have easy access to children. One of the male suspects was HIV positive. He showed up to have unprotected sex at the undercover location with what he thought was a 13-year-old girl. Due to a 1996 law, the sheriff could not disclose his identity. Multiple police departments in the state participated in the operation. Judd said the officers are skilled in talking as if they were 13 and 14 years old, and they worked around the clock for a week in order to arrest the 17 people. Yet the alarming message to parents is, as the officers continue with these operations, they keep finding more predators. As parents, we should stay extra vigilant and educate our children about these predators on social media to prevent such crimes from happening. I'm going to be frank with all of you. These predators, they are the scum of the earth, and we must all do our part to rid the planet of these vile individuals. Moving to the Arizona election audit, a top Republican senator is asking Attorney General Mark Brnovich to investigate Maricopa County's Board of Supervisors over its refusal to comply with subpoenas. Senate Majority Whip Sonny Borrelli informed Brnovich in a formal request on behalf of the Senate that the election supervisors are violating the law. The AG is directed to make a written report of his investigation within 1 month of receiving a request. If Brnovich confirms a violation, Maricopa County must rectify the violation within 30 days or face a loss of funding. Brnovich has not responded to Borrelli's request, yet in June, he criticized U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland for his meddling in the Arizona audit and his disdain for state sovereignty. Brnovich wrote, "Arizonans will not sit back and let the Biden administration abuse its authority, refuse to uphold laws, or attempt to commandeer our state's sovereignty." Brnovich is also running for the U.S. Senate in 2022, taking on Democrat Mark Kelly. In a social media poll among conservatives where 76,000 voted, an overwhelming 96% say they won't support Mark Brnovich's state Senate run if he lets Jack Sellers, a Republican member of the Board of Supervisors, and Dominion get away with ignoring the subpoenas. In Arizona, any Republican official who doesn't support the election audit is certainly not supported by the voters. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out this playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.